everybody. Welcome back to the Sonic Chronicle. My name is Owen, and welcome back to another episode of Casually in Conversation. In this episode, I have the pleasure of talking to the wonderful songstress Diana Bailey. She writes wonderful pop, alt-rock songs that are incredibly well produced, and I've kind of joked with friends and colleagues that Diana Bailey is, I don't know why she isn't all over the radio, but also she kind of reminds me of like Taylor Swift if Taylor Swift had integrity. But I digress. Diana is wonderful. She's hilarious. She is a lot of fun, and you'll kind of see that as over the course of the conversation as you watch the interview. As always, if you like what I'm doing here, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Please do leave comments in the comments section. They help out a great deal. And of course, like this video if you like it as well. All of those things help greatly when it comes to the YouTube algorithm. However, on with the interview. Please do enjoy and make sure to check out all of Diana's stuff, because there's stuff in there that we talk about that I didn't include audio clips of, which I regret now. But anyway, please do enjoy. Diana Bailey, thank you very much for joining me to have a chat. I am delighted to have you, because you are the first person who I have spoken to who is not Irish, or not someone who
I'm so sorry.
or it's not someone who I have played gigs with or I have essentially interacted with before, right?
All right,
in
cool.
any capacity, right? A number of other people who I have spoken to, I've actually reviewed their music on the channel, and other people I have kind of known tangentially via Twitter and stuff like that, over the years, but you're the first person who I know from someone else.
Oh, cool.
So thank you for taking a punt on this random lad who sent you a DM on Instagram going, "Hey, do you want to come on this show and have a chat with me about music?"
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for the invite.
Yeah. First things first, on Gumball, you mentioned that everyone made fun of where you grew up. So tell me about where you grew up. Tell me a little bit about...
That's the closest reading of a lyric I've ever had back to me. I grew up in Scarborough, in the east part of Toronto.
Okay.
And yeah, Scarborough has a bit of a tough reputation, but not the part of Scarborough that I'm from. But that didn't mean that I was not the target of some Scarborough jokes
okay.
After that. But yeah, Scarborough had a lot of nicknames that you can't really repeat in 2023 on a podcast.
Gotcha. You see, I can relate to this because I am from a city called Limerick in Ireland.
Okay.
And
like the dirty poem.
It came from Limerick, yes. Yes, it is famously the poem actually came from Limerick, hence the name. But Limerick City also had a questionable, a largely media-driven, questionable reputation in the early 2000s, leading to it being called Stab City.
Oh, nice.
So I can relate to that kind of thing.
Yeah, similar vibe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a kerfuffle when somebody found a murder weapon down the street from the school. My 11th grade year was ended early because the school was full of mold, and they just had to close up shop and send us home.
Oh my goodness. It's just like trying to make trying to mold the young people of tomorrow takes on a new meaning, etc.
And I'm from Canada, and people are always like, "Oh, that sounds like such a utopian place," and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty good, but we had to end school because of mold. That seems bad.
It seems pretty bad.
I don't hear about that in other places.
It is true. You don't get that,
No. Oh, and then another one. I had to my parents had to sign a waiver saying they could give us potassium iodide because we lived across from the power plant. So in case of an explosion.
Was that something to do with nuclear stuff?
Oh. Yeah.
Because
again in the early 2000s over here, when 9/11 happened, there was I'm not going to get political about this, don't worry about it. When 9/11 happened, there was a power plant, a nuclear power plant in England called Sellafield, which there were worries that because the UK were so heavily involved and it's so close to Ireland, there would be bombs on Sellafield, and the winds would blow and they would blow the nuclear ash over Ireland, right, and that kind of thing,
Oh,
right,
right.
right. And we were just close enough to kind of like be in mushroom cloud radius and all this kind of thing. So they distributed iodine tablets to everyone in the country,
Responsible.
except the children, because there
That
was
seems targeted.
there was no record of like the children, so they had everyone who was on the register of electorates. But coming back to talking about Scarborough and your music,
Yeah.
listening to a lot of your stuff, and I've listened to a lot of your stuff over the past week or so, there are a number of elements in there where you're talking about where you're from, or I suppose your history, and I suppose most people will do that, but there does seem to be that kind of influence there, right, around I suppose a locality.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Is that a conscious decision, or do you think that just kind of comes out from writing personally?
I think both, because
Okay.
I mean, right now I'm in the Netherlands. I'm from Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my husband is from Texas, so
Oh.
we met in Toronto, and then we both moved to Austin, and then from there we both moved to Vietnam together, and then from there to Dusseldorf, uh, now to Leiden in the Netherlands. So we've been around a lot,
Mm.
and yeah, I think for me also, I mean, one of the things about moving around a lot is that you sort of have your life segmented in this very kind of crisp way that
Mm.
maybe other people don't. And so I think for me, every time we change a place, it sort of it signifies some other change. And so I think in the songs it kind of becomes this sort of running metaphor. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. Right, that like I suppose in your different songs, this running metaphor for I suppose experience, right, and
Yeah.
life, right, in general, right, that
Right.
I suppose the idea of segmenting things, of moving around, and it being like an indicator for a type of change, is just I suppose in some ways a nice easy box to like slot that particular memory or that set of memories into, right.
Yeah.
Whereas I was kind of thinking that as you were talking, I was like, how do I segment my life? Right. And I think that part of the way that I segment my life is not just about where I am geographically, but I suppose who I was at those different points in time. And if those two things kind of sync up, then it's nice, right? It's nice to kind of like put that little filing cabinet and that little drawer in your mind and kind of like put those things into there and open them up for later.
Yeah. Because it's like Toronto, I was in my 20s. I was a total nut job then, in Austin. I was there with my husband. We had our shit together a little bit more, but it
Oh.
wasn't quite right. Then
Oh.
we went to Vietnam. That was also very chaotic, but also the start of really when I was making music,
Oh.
really, because before I was doing stand up before that.
Mm.
And so, yeah, when we got to Vietnam, we kind of fell into being like a bar band that we got paid to go play, a couple hours of music. A friend of ours saw us do karaoke,
Mm.
and they were like, "Can you play 2 hours?" And we were like, yeah,
Sure, I'm getting
do
paid for it,
that."
right? Yeah, yeah.
And so he was like, "Yeah, I know a guy who runs this like really beautiful resort in Mui Ne, Vietnam, and he pays pretty well if you can do like two-hour sets." And we were like, "Okay." And so we went, and then when we were there, we didn't know how to do anything, and so we were like in the hotel room for most of the day. And he was like, "Are you sure you don't want to like go out to the pool and have a free cocktail?" And we're like, "Fine, sir. Actually, we like it in here, you know?"
Oh my god.
So yeah, we kind of were flying by the seat of our pants. But so Vietnam is kind of like to me sort of represents really getting the opportunity to really try,
Mhm.
at music and write songs, and not really knowing what I was doing with any of that,
Y-
but really swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was gonna
yeah,
say I think
that's
that's
it's a little more sedate than that, I guess.
yeah, but I think there's a real uh, there's a real admiration for that level of youth and that enthusiasm in youth, right?
Yeah,
Or at least I have it now anyway. Although I probably didn't experience it at the time. I was just like, oh, sick! I get
right.
like a bag of cans at the end of a night, and I get, instead of getting paid for playing music for an hour and a half, right?
Yeah, like I look back on stand up being like, oh, what a time of like what a merry band of lunatics I was
Mm.
part of. And then you're like, I remember doing stand up and twice there was a guy in the front row with a black eye. Twice. And twice I like couldn't help but be like, hello? What happened?
Yeah, yeah,
Why are you yeah, and like both of the guys didn't like it, and so it's like, you romanticize this time, I think, but as it was happening, you were kind of like, I can't believe this is my life. So I try to have a bit of perspective about that.
yeah. That's a good way to do it. Um, you might have seen on my Instagram, I've been posting like a bunch of stuff from old gigs and old experiences
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, I saw
playing
that
and
today.
stuff. And it's like looking back, I'm like, oh, that was a nice time, but yeah, it was pretty disastrous at times as well. There were a couple of times like playing to the other bands who were due to play and stuff like that, and it was like, ooh, that I'd rather not relive those memories, but it is what it is.
Yeah, just so much drinking, so much
So
drinking.
much drinking, so much drinking,
I
and
would
like
die today.
we used to go out, play a show, right, have a drink afterwards, go home. Again, we have been paid in alcohol, right?
Yes.
So we would drink that alcohol, and then go out again, back to where we just played, and then on to a different club, and that was the night. That was what we used to do, and it was pretty. Like I can't do that. I'm getting old, I can't. I'm pushing on, right?
Yeah, can't do that anymore. No.
How do you think comedy helped in terms of music, or did it help? Like in
Well, I
terms,
started
yeah,
writing songs. I started writing comedy songs before I was ever really writing songs.
mm,
Um, and then I really only did that because I was working at an ad agency and I had like no time to write jokes anymore. And I was kept getting shit from people for repeating my jokes at a lot of shows and a lot of open mics. And I was like, I want people to stop being mad at me. And I think that if I write joke songs, you're allowed to repeat those, and nobody gets mad at you for doing that. So, and people kind of liked them. So I was writing those, and I had one that was called like it was like a '90s R&B inspired song called "Period Sex Slow Jam,"
I have
and
heard this.
that was
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah. I was looking into
oh no.
your music, and I heard this earlier on today on Balcony TV, which I'll talk about in a moment.
I'm going to be singing a song that's close to my heart. It's called Period Sex Slow Jam. I'm extremely excited to hear this. I didn't think you'd come back to my place, but now you're here in my house, on my couch, listening to Babyface. So just take your time, drink some wine, share a story or nine, let's ease into it, cause I got something to say. It might get in the way, I'm on my period, are you into it? So don't be shy, be the guy that doesn't mind, cause it's a test. Will you run or will you say, baby, let's bless this mess? Don't you think a little blood might be fun? You're the shark, I'm the chum. You're playing Halo and I'm the war zone. Oh, moans.
Oh
Um,
man. Okay, I totally forgot about that clip.
so
Okay.
Balcony TV originated in Dublin. And when I started gigging, a number of people that I used to gig with were actually on Balcony TV in Dublin. And when I saw Balcony TV, I was like, she was in Dublin? She was playing this on a balcony in Dublin? And then,
No.
yeah, because they went global. They went global.
Yeah, they had some sort of satellite in Toronto, and my friend was a host, and they asked me if I would do it. I was like, okay, and it was a bit strange because it's like a just fancy Toronto condo building with this like light rig and everything.
And then you played Period Sex Slow Jam.
And then I played Period Sex Slow Jam on the balcony. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know why I'm here. Like, some people are laughing. I don't know. Like, I'm really only here because my friend is hosting.
Yeah. But that's okay. That's how you get the breaks, right? And you take those opportunities.
Yeah, but it was such a swanky condo that I sang this horrible song about periods so loud outside.
I will say there were a couple of lyrics in there, and I was like, I think that might have been a little too far.
It's evocative.
It is evocative. It did evoke something in me, certainly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I suppose come back to the idea.
How I started doing songs was that kind of thing, and then people were like, these sound kind of like songs. I was like, okay, I'll try to write some songs then. And then once I got to Vietnam, my husband then who was then my boyfriend, he was like, why don't you like try writing your own stuff? And so it's kind of how it came about.
I'm glad that you did, frankly.
Thank you.
Because our friend in common, who recommended you to me, she told me about you, sent me a link to your SoundCloud, and I listened to One Weird Trick, the entirety of it, and I sent them a message right after. I was like, how is Diana Bailey not all over the radio? Right.
That's very kind. Thank you.
But I think it's true, because One Weird Trick is, well, first of all, it is a great name for an EP.
Thank you very much. I was proud of that.
It's great. And like, there are so many hooks on it, right? So many vocal and like, there are so many subtleties and unique little things that you will pick up on various listens, on different listens, right? So like, even in terms of like your vocal lines, there's interesting stuff in there, like on Flat Screen, like as I mentioned to you before, like about the flat screen, baby, right? It's a lovely little vocal hook. And even on, what's the one? It's not Gumball, it's the one after Gumball. It is not after Gumball. Flat Screen is after Gumball. It is Eat the Moon. And the idea of I just don't go there anymore. It's a very different style of vocal to the rest of the track, and it snaps your attention straight away.
Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's a lot. I just don't know for sure. Said everything worth saying. Signs upon the door. I just don't go there anymore. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I wanna hear your breath, open your chest and listen.
So I think that you are well able to write a vocal hook. And not only that, I suppose, the music behind those vocal hooks, as they kind of change and shift throughout the song, it really accentuates those hooks as well. So I'll get on to talking about your band in a little while, because I think that they're fantastic. But I just want to reiterate that like the hooks that are on that EP are absolutely radio friendly. And also, I suppose one other thing to kind of mention is that on Worst Case, like when I first heard it, and the more I listened to it, I was like, I feel like I kind of know this from somewhere, but I don't, right? I just kind of felt that it wouldn't be out of place on like the soundtrack to like 10 Things I Hate About You or something like that, right?
Yeah, that is very my era.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? I think we're both of
Yeah.
that era, right? But, you know, I would nearly kind of listen to it and kind of go, oh, I'm kind of waiting for like Letters to Cleo to play immediately after it, you know?
That warms my heart, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them so much. But yeah, that I always really liked pop, and I always hated when people were snobs about pop,
Mm.
and like I uh grew up singing Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. They were my idols.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I always loved like 90s R&B, like Tony Braxton, you know, anything that's like from gospel music or anything like
Mm.
that. Um, and so yeah, that's kind of in jazz. I was really loved like Gershwin and like old classic jazz standards when I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
in high school. So yeah, I've always liked all kinds of that stuff, and I like to kind of switch from one sort of genre to another one kind of unexpectedly, or do something that's
Mhm.
kind of like in a punk sounding kind of song, do a little run that maybe you wouldn't have expected in that kind of song.
Yes.
And yeah, and then with the 10 things I hate about you, I also kind of want to write songs that I would have wanted to hear when I was younger. So
Nice.
because I can now, you know, so it's like
Hmm.
you know, it's pretty accessible to, you know, at least I'm lucky enough to be able to record this stuff and to produce with Tim and work with my husband and do all that. So I feel very lucky to be able to do what I can do. And so it's like, why not make the sort of stuff that you want to listen to? You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you're not writing it for you, or at least a version of you, then why do it at all, right?
Right. And I think, you know, if everybody got to express themselves a little more, you know, maybe we'd all be a little less insane. So,
Or more, depending on how you do it.
or if we channeled it in more
Oh, yeah.
creative, productive ways, you
Certainly.
know.
Certainly, yeah. I'm glad to hear you talk about like your influences, right? Of like pop music and Tony Braxton and Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, like, and you know the idea of like soul singers as well and jazz as well. That really kind of stands out as well. You are a powerful vocalist, is what I'll say. You know, it's lovely to hear. Listen, or it's a joy to listen to your music. But in terms of your or your vocal influences. It's cool to hear that because I kind of thought that maybe it would be like the more modern soul singers, like the likes of like Amy Winehouse, Adele, Duffy, etc. Right? Those kinds of soul singers. But when I was listening to it as well, I kind of got like shades of like Judy Garland in there as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. That kind of really stood out a bit as well. So do you still listen to that kind of music now? Or have your tastes changed somewhat and we might hear some other elements? Some T-Swizz?
I yeah, I don't listen to as much jazz as I used to. Um I don't know why. I don't know. I do always go back to Whitney and Mariah. I I love them. I listen to them religiously.
Mhm.
I like to do karaoke, so they're good to have in your pocket and a
For sure.
pinch. Um, yeah, I think also, you know, the other sort of influences that I would have, I guess, are like Regina Spektor, Fiona
Yeah.
Apple,
Mm.
kind of odd girls. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
I feel akin to the odd girls.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think them, and then also like you know, I've always really liked like, you know, shit kicking punk women, so like
Yeah, yeah.
distillers and stuff like that. So I want to have a little bit of shades of that in my stuff too, because I
That
think it's
attitude.
fun. I think that female rage is a very powerful, underestimated resource.
Oh, 100%.
You know, I think I like hearing women just like rock out. You know.
For sure. I'm a big Brody Doll fan myself.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew I liked Daniel Radcliffe when I saw him being interviewed by David Letterman, and he listed Brody Dahl as his celebrity crush when he was like, I love him.
I mean, I kind of had that as well.
Yeah.
But I was big into Rancid first, and then over to the Distillers after that.
Oh, okay. A very classic transition.
It is a classic transition. It is. Talking about your EPs. So One Weird Trick, obviously, I've talked substantially about that. Sympathizer. Tell me about Sympathizer, because it's very different to One Weird Trick.
Yes. So Sympathizer I wrote when we were in Vietnam. And so when we were in Vietnam, we were doing the kind of bar band thing. And when I started writing my own music, because we had been in Austin and I'd really gotten into country music and I was really into Miranda Lambert again.
Yeah.
I really love them.
I love Miranda Lambert. Like, Kerosene is an absolute banger.
Oh, yeah. She scares me to death, but I would die for her. And so
okay.
We saw her at the Houston Rodeo, and she did the national anthem. And she came out and she stood on a white horse and like rode around the stadium with an American flag that was shooting fireworks out of the top. And I was like, I am not American, but I want to be a part of this club for right now.
Yeah. Pass me a Stetson. Yeah.
This is great. Like,
for sure, yeah.
I believe in God. So I was really into country music then, and then it was kind of like it was like an easy way to sort of experiment with writing songs at the beginning, because it's a very sort of defined genre.
Yes.
And like, when you're not, I think, very confident with writing songs yet, you can kind of bang out some country songs and be like, okay, this sounds like a thing.
Yeah.
This sounds like something.
Just gonna hit this checklist over here of things to talk about. The key things that we have heard so far is about how his mother smoked Marlboro Reds, constantly cooked chicken in the same pan, in the same grease, and she has had a beat up truck since 1982 or so. So we're ticking a lot of country music boxes here straight away, Let's carry on.
Cussing and complaining weren't allowed.
Cussing and complaining weren't allowed. Yeah. Oh, it's Bible. Front porch. So we have hit a number of other checkboxes for country music. We have hit the screen door. We have hit, no cussing. Yeah, no complaining at mama's house. At the porch, specifically, a lot of country songs talk about the porch. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, talk about trains, your mama, God,
Mama's porch, truck, Bible, yes.
Guns.
And how my partner has left me, but I'm not going to do anything to change myself about it.
No,
do something
absolutely
about
not.
it. Yeah,
Don't
okay. Or take accountability for the things that drove her away. Yeah.
Never stop drinking.
Never stop. ABD. Always be drinking.
So yeah, it was like kind of an easy way to get started into songwriting, I think. And then we went back and recorded those songs in Brian, my husband's cousin's garage. I guess the Three Dogs. So it was a bit of an ordeal. But it was super fun, and he was so nice and like so great, and sat in and played bass and was like super cool and chill to hang out with. So yeah, that was kind of the process of it. And we recorded it all on like a Tascam Digiporter.
Yeah, I know the one.
Thing,
yes.
But like the big one from like a long time ago.
Oh.
Not the mini one.
Oh, the proper desk.
Yeah, the desk.
Wow.
So yeah, and we had never really recorded anything before, and but we had a lot of fun, and it took a while to get it. Once you get into recording, you're like, oh my God, this is what my entire vacation in Texas is about now. So, it's funny to look back on it now because it's so of a time, but I'm still proud of that little EP. I
mean, it's a little time capsule, and the songs on it are good, right?
Hey.
Is the thing, right? They are, right? They're good. Like, as I said, very, very different to One Weird Trick.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of tone and lyrics and the like and style, I suppose, but also in terms of production, right? And in terms of playing, right? But it's definitely like a great opener, right? It's a really good first effort.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you.
So let's move on without lecture. Let me speak without a censure. 'Cause I'm gonna do what I damn well please. So why is it you always assume the worst of me? Why is it you always assume the worst of me? I don't turn to the drink and I smoke this shit up. Not my thing anymore, though I've done it before. Why is it you always assume the worst of me? Don't wanna tell me what it's all about.
I'm all like I get surprised because like one weird trick is just so much better all around. But when I look at the stats and stuff on Spotify or SoundCloud or whatever, like people really keep going back to those songs. So it's like, who am I to say?
I mean, that's the thing, and that is kind of seems to be an overarching theme with people that I talk to about making music. Is I wrote this song. I didn't think it was any good, but it's the one people love.
Yeah.
That tends to be what happens, right? Like I have
and
a
you're
song.
just looking for validation wherever you can get it at this point. So
I mean, in the music
okay,
business.
man.
Yes,
You
love this.
Tell me I'm good.
I'll play this forever for you. It's 3 chords in the truth. Is that all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm your monkey. What do you want?
Yeah. Just keep paying me. It's so hard to make a living. But anyway, the other thing then is Tailwind on your SoundCloud.
Oh yeah.
Is Tailwind kind of like just a stopgap, or was that just like a collection of demos that you then were like, I want to give them their due, right, on One Weird Trick?
Well, Tailwind started out. So there's a thing online called the RPM Challenge.
Okay.
And it's called it's Record Production Month Challenge. So the idea is that anybody can sign up. There's a Discord, and you write an album in a month, and then at the end of the month you have like a big sort of listening party, and people kind of give each other advice as the month goes on, and we'll like share stuff and collaborate. And so I just really like the idea of that because I have a day job, life happens, and it's hard to schedule music in, and it's hard to like get started. But with something like that, it's like a very fixed time frame. It's very manageable, So so I wanted to do an EP, and then so what came out of that was Tailwind. And then with Tailwind, I was like, you know what? I think these songs kind of are good, and I think I want to put some real production value behind these songs because I want to be able to put some at a certain point you're like, I want to be able to have some kind of body of work,
I know what you mean.
in.
Yeah.
And it's fun to play in bars and like do gigs and stuff like that, but you don't really have a whole lot to show for it. So when it came to Tailwind, I was just like, I had met Tim, who is a wonderful producer, and I was like, I just want to make this sound really, really fucking good,
And is Tim someone that you met through RPM, like on the Discord and stuff like that?
No. I mean, funnily enough, I met Tim through Facebook. I don't recommend everyone try to meet someone through Facebook, but it worked for me. I like wrote in like a Facebook group or something looking for a producer, and then I listened to Tim's stuff, and I was just kind of immediately hooked by it because I was like, I think this is a guy who will get me, because I think I had met other producers before. That were annoying old guys.
I know the type. I know the type. Yeah.
I mean, I want to be gentle about it, but they're annoying old guys, and so like, um, yeah, they're like, I don't, they're trying to like talk down to you and kind of condescend to you, and like as a woman, I can't, I don't have time for this. So uh, yeah, I was always like very annoyed by producers that I had met before, and then and then when I was listening to Tim's stuff, it was so like fun and like theatrical and kind of campy and like sort of balls to the wall, that I was like, I really feel like we would get each other, whereas like these other guys, they wanted some like, I don't know, they were like, you should sound like Adele, and I'm like, I don't want to be Adele,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let Adele be Adele. I'll be me.
Yeah, I just want some drums, Is that great?
That's the thing, right? Is that like I've never wanted anything more for my songs than drums.
Yeah,
just I don't have the fucking space for a drum kit. I can't. Do you know how I put drums onto one of my songs? I have a shitty old iPad, and I open up GarageBand, and I plugged it into my digital audio workshop or whatever it's called, my DAW, and I just tapped the fake drum kit in GarageBand, and I did that for 4 minutes, and that's how I got drums onto one of my tracks. And it's
how
like
soulful.
It's just like, come on, there has to be a better way,
Well, the thing about Tim is that he's also a fantastic drummer. So and like, you're just like, Tim, I kind of have this idea that'll be like kind of like this, and he's like, yeah, no problem. So like, I don't know if you heard like Be Well,
Yes.
that drum solo at the end, I was just like, Tim, like I kind of want it to sound like just bananas. Great.
Okay, I'm glad that you brought up the word bananas, because when I listened to Be Well, I heard the YouTube version first, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I have this. Can I talk about it? This sneak peek version.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So I have this sneak peek version, and I was like, okay, cool. It's probably not going to be that much different. And wowzers, is it very different? Like,
Yeah.
it is so chaotic. Right.
Yeah, that's really what I wanted for it. That was
Okay. Okay, that's the direction. Okay, cool. Cool.
Well, I wrote Be Well in like the first couple of weeks of COVID, and I was very like, I really just had this feeling of like, everyone is like pretending everything is fine, but I think they're all freaking out inside. And like, I really, well, like people keep telling me I should go to work, but that seems stupid considering I can do my job by email. So if anyone should stay home, like we should stay home and not breathe on people,
Yeah.
So I thought that was a reasonable position to take, but apparently that was very controversial until it was much too late. So,
If only they'd listened.
if only they'd
If only
listened to me.
listened. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have no influence over anything. So, yeah. So I wrote it then, and that was kind of why I wanted it to have that sort of chaotic vibe, because I wanted it to feel really like poppy, but also doomy.
Okay. Okay. That like, you're all going to die, but you're kind of delighted about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're
cool.
gonna have one last big party.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Yeah, that's cool. In terms of Tim, is his production studio called Flamingo Ranch, or is that one that you've made up for releasing your music as a production company?
That is one I've made up for releasing.
It's that is another great name for a production company.
Thank you.
So, do you home record anymore now? You do, or do you go in studio?
Exclusively home record.
Exclusively home record.
Yeah. So I with recording, it really started in COVID for me, like doing the home records and stuff. So, and in that time, we all had a lot of time. So I learned a lot about music production and turning the dials up and down and all that. So that, like, a lot of the projects that I was working on then, I wanted it to be something that could be like manageable, and I also would learn about music production through, and I would like be able to finish something and accomplish something with the limited skills and abilities I had in that stuff. So yeah, that was kind of really a lot of and I think this is something about creativity in general that you have to keep in mind sometimes, is that necessity breeds invention, and sometimes the creative stuff comes from the limitations that are not necessarily in your control and all that, but sometimes you can come up with cool stuff that way. So so with the EPs, it's always like trying to keep that contained in some way.
Yeah, I get you. Like, necessity is the mother of all invention. Like, yes, I don't have a drum kit, but I have a little shitty iPad, for instance, right?
I have a little shitty iPad. Yeah, and so when I met Tim, it really opened up kind of my world in terms of what sounds we could use and what we could do, and Tim just knew so much about production that I could really just be like, hey, I kind of feel like that I want something that sounds like this Massive Attack song.
Okay.
For like Eat the Moon or something like that, and he'd be like, okay, I get you. And so but yeah, we talked all through email and recorded all at home, and then I sent him stuff, and that's just how it's worked so far. And eventually I think we're gonna go record in a studio now that we're pretty close to Amsterdam. So
right.
Yeah, but it's also like pretty like freeing to be at home and not feel like, oh my god, I'm spending so much money going to a studio. And I guess I used to live in an apartment building with like pretty forgiving neighbors, and now I'm in a new building. So necessity breeds invention. I may have to go to a recording studio.
Well, the thing is, like, electric guitars, you don't necessarily have to like plug in an amp and put a mic up to it. You can plug directly into a DI box into a computer. Right. So that'll keep the volume down, right?
Just doesn't feel the same.
I mean, it doesn't feel the same as cranking up an amp, right? Certainly not, right?
Yeah,
but
that's part of the thing too of like having the curse of being a bar band for some time, is you're always like, I should be getting drunk like a pirate and playing real loud, and if I don't do that, I'm a nun.
I mean, you could still get drunk as you wanted while home recording,
True.
ABD, always be drinking.
Always be drinking.
Yeah. If we've learned anything from country music, that's it. Yeah. Cool. So that's kind of what I was going to ask you about, like going from home recording to studio work. Like, what was the difference? But clearly you don't, right? Do you think you ever will?
I'm a grandma. I really first I was recording on my phone. I was recording on my phone for a really long time, much longer. I think. Did I? Oh, I think like. One of my albums there, Small Comfort, that was recorded all on phone.
What do you mean recorded on your phone?
What
do you mean recorded on your phone?
Like recorded it like with voice memos and stuff.
Oh.
And then like GarageBand on my phone eventually.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so I was doing that for a really long time.
Yeah.
So I was really resistant to learning anything about music production. But yeah, no, so I was recording on my phone. I was like, I didn't know how to do a lot of stuff in terms of the production side of things. So yeah, you wouldn't believe how far I've come.
Oh, dude, like it is such a steep learning curve, right? Like the only
Yeah.
reason I knew as much that I knew, kind of like going into like recording my own EP, was because I had recorded a 5-track demo in college, and the guy that produced it did know what he was doing, right? And he
Yeah.
was a guy who, God, I'm white. He was just a guy who wanted to basically put together a portfolio for a master's in music production, right? So he would record absolutely everyone and anyone. And just so happened that he was my friend and my housemate, right? And it just so
Yeah.
happened that I happened to be trying to get into making music and gigging and the like. So I had
Right.
these couple of songs put together. Some of them were half put together, and we basically just sat in his room, putting down track after track after track over the course of a couple of weeks, and then like having friends like wander in and then being like, okay, so what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, I was going to do this, and just being like, oh, why don't you do this instead, right? And it kind of became a little bit communal, right, in terms of the production of it.
Right.
Or like, oh, I've got this riff, but I'm going to use it here, and then I'm going to like drop it out, and then be like, what do you mean you're going to drop it out? That's the best riff in the whole thing. Why are you going to drop it out here? It keeps so much momentum, right? So like you'd have those kinds of conversations, in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
It's nice to have live feedback.
It is. It really is in some ways. But then you get like those annoying old guys who give you feedback in the moment, right?
That's unsolicited.
True. True.
I can't imagine giving unsolicited feedback.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Here's some feedback for you. That is probably the worst segue in the world. But actually, while I'm at it, for me, can your vocals be a little bit higher in the mix?
Yeah. I probably the see. Also, in music, sometimes the feedback is just literally about technology and things.
Oh, okay, right.
So in this case, I think a lot of that stuff is my own like not figuring out quite how to record my vocals properly yet, because I'm
Okay.
very loud is the issue. So yeah, so I kind of blow some stuff out, and so then you kind of overcorrect, I think, by making it quiet sometimes. Yeah,
Definitely, yeah. Like, I don't mean to sound condescending, but do you have a compressor?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because your compressor, look, you know how a compressor works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, the compressor should sort that out. If it's not, maybe it's some of the settings, right?
Yeah.
But I there's sometimes when I'm kind of like listening to your tracks, I'm like, I'd love to hear that a little bit more clearly.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's the only note that I have of potential criticism there. Okay, so take that, do what you will with that, right? But what I was actually going to say before I did that was your bass player is so good.
Yes. So there's
no further comments.
We have two on one track. So Gus plays bass on Worst Case, and then Tim, who produces, plays bass on the other songs.
Tim, well, they both do a fantastic job. But there are so many subtle little things that are done on some bass runs and stuff like that that are quite low in the mix, and you wouldn't necessarily hear them unless you were kind of like keeping an ear out for them. That really add right to the overall sound. Give Tim my regards for his beautiful bass lines.
Yeah, Tim is a genius mastermind that we're very lucky to be.
I mean, I'm starting to think maybe I should get in contact with Tim, to be honest with you. Thank you very much for sharing the upcoming EP with me. Right.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, I'm delighted to. Chalk sounds like the demo version of Chalk on your SoundCloud is very good. The new version of Chalk is even better.
I had a thought last night when you bent to kiss my hand. I think maybe turned out right. Did I? Did I? Did I? Did I? Did I? Did I? Nothing could stay the one way that I know. Places may change, but I'm still stuck on you. I was afraid and so fucking confused. I've been away, been away. Nothing could stay the one way that I know. Places may change, but I'm still stuck on you. I was afraid and so fucking confused. I've been away, been away.
Oh, thanks.
Right. Horns. You have horns on it.
That's me.
That's you playing the horns.
That's me playing trumpet.
I have a trumpet
I
back
was
here.
a bit of a band nerd.
You were a bit of a band nerd.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So the trumpet is so difficult to play, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
here's the thing about the trumpet on there. So I played trumpet in high school. I played in, well, because I love jazz, right? So
Sure.
I was playing jazz, or I was playing in jazz band and in like the big orchestra stuff. And then I also played third trumpet in Bye Bye Birdie, the musical,
Okay.
because I was too scared to audition singing. So I just played trumpet in it.
Aw.
And
Aw.
so, yeah, so I've always loved trumpet, and I had always wanted to sort of get into like an amateur orchestra or something like that, because I just love playing trumpet and I love being like around other musicians and like in a big room of musicians. But I can never really find anything like that. So I just I got a trumpet for like Christmas or something like that, and I was like, I'm going to play trumpet on these songs. I'm going to play trumpet on something, and I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to practice the Pink Panther song enough times that I can
Panther
remember
song.
what it feels like in my mouth to play the trumpet.
Gotcha.
That's the really hard part, is the muscle memory.
Okay.
Embouchure.
Sure.
I know, it sound
Okay.
like an asshole, but that's what it is.
I wouldn't worry about sounding like an asshole to me, especially when it comes to that kind of thing. But it's so tough. I bought one for Christmas a couple of years ago. I got it in Lidl for like $150 or something like that.
All right, yeah.
Right. I can't imagine it's a good trumpet. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really matters that much unless you really know what you're doing, to be honest. with
Fair enough. And I tried, and I've been able to get like some sound out of it, but not consistently. And I think that's probably where the muscle memory comes in. I'm not sure my puny cheek muscles have what it takes at the
you
minute.
have to. It's the unfortunate thing about trumpet is the only way to really get better at it is just being completely embarrassing and like just buzzing all the time. So, and like you have to practice buzzing so that it like slow and fast to get low and high. So
Okay.
yeah, so that all affects what's gonna come out.
Because the thing that I was trying to figure out is how do I get it to make low noises, and how do I get it into the upper register, right?
This is where you're gonna want to buzz low and then or fast and slow. So
Okay, because I was like, one of these things must do the amplitude, right, or the pitch, right? One of these little valves has to do that, right? And apparently not. That might be mechanically where I've been going wrong.
yeah, so the valves will like change the note, so like C D E F G C, but like the shape of your mouth and the how you're playing is going to change like maybe the octave or like what, because there's repeats of the configuration of fingers, so that will change which one it becomes.
Yeah, maybe I'll sell the trumpet.
The Pink Panther theme song, and then just have an unearned sense of confidence.
Maybe I will do that. Maybe I will not earn that
You know what?
self-confidence.
Learn Pink Panther on trumpet. There is no more satisfying song to learn on trumpet as your first song. I
You-
gotta say, for the listeners at home, learn Pink Panther on the trumpet.
Maybe I'll record it like a journey, right, of trying to learn the Pink Panther, like as a video series or something like that.
Yeah, that's content.
That is free content. Thanks very much. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no problem.
Yeah. The other thing that I noticed about your audio tracks that you gave me the sneak peek of was the naming conventions that you have on them.
Oh yeah.
Right? So it's like -1 dB here, version 1 point whatever, right? Stuff
I
like
hadn't
that,
really
right?
considered that, but I sent it over. Perhaps that was not professional.
No, I think that is incredibly professional, right? How many iterations do you think you probably go through before you get to like the final version?
Oh, lots. I mean, the thing is like, I mean, less now that Tim and I have worked a lot together at this point. So, but I think, yeah, like maybe like 6 versions or something like that. I don't know. Is
Not
that a
bad.
lot?
I don't
Like a
think
lot.
so. I don't think it's a lot.
But yeah, every time I feel terrible asking Tim to change things, but you know, it's part of the deal. So
I mean, look, it is what it is. That's the
it is
that's
what
the
it is.
production role, right?
Yeah. But yeah, part of it is just because we're like mostly the only way we communicate is through email and online and stuff like that. So it's not really like we're in the same room a lot of time listening to stuff, which is a shame because I loved him and like we love hanging out with him. So yeah, I would love to do that more, but because we're just in different spots, it doesn't work out that way. So but it is kind of cool because you have to be really clear when you're talking and collaborating that way, and you have to be like, I like this from this. I need this to be taken at this specific point, you know. Whereas I think maybe if we were in person, you know, you wouldn't have to like nail some stuff, some feedback down in a more specific way.
Yeah, I think that there's a real benefit of being that specific, though, right?
Yeah.
Like. There's nothing worse than going into a room and then being like, you know, can you make the drums be like a bit more like, right, and stuff like that, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I've played in like, you know, playing in bands and stuff like that. There are so many times where you're like, just kind of fucking around. And
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
even do anything today? I don't know. I think this was good. I don't know. So, like, and it's fun, and you don't want to discount that because it's good to, you know, play with people and get comfortable playing and all that and hang out and stuff. But, yeah, it can feel like I don't know, like I don't know if I did anything today.
For sure. Yeah, I've been in that spot a few times.
Yeah.
I was also looking at your band name, The Bad Intentions.
Oh yeah.
That is a great name.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you looking to put together a band and play live? Or is that the goal at all? Or are you happy enough, I suppose, to record at home and push your music out and that's how it goes?
I think for now, you know, I would love to do something live, you know, you know, to promote the new EP and get out there. I think that it's tough to sort of get a band together to tour and you know, to find people. I think I would like to, you know, play. My husband and we played together in Vietnam as a bar band, so I think we can put that together again pretty easily. So I think we'll do that, and yeah, maybe at some point put a band together again. It's just tough with schedules and organizing and all that, and you know, especially there wasn't a huge music scene in Dusseldorf either, so the pool is pretty small and
a lot of karaoke though.
Pardon me?
A lot of karaoke in Dusseldorf though.
A lot of karaoke, yes.
I have been, and I have attended to many a karaoke bar in Dusseldorf.
It's pretty fun.
Oh.
I mean, they don't have a ton else going on. So.
Yeah. Myself
but
and
it is a very good time.
Yeah, myself and some friends went for a weekend and basically went to go out on the piss. We got like cheap Ryanair flights. I think it was like €40 return and accommodation, right, for the weekend. So we went on the lash for the weekend, and we hit up all the karaoke bars. We went to like a bunch of karaoke bars. We sang Here Comes Alex by Die Totenhosen. Some people loved it, some people hated it, or they were sick of hearing it.
Yeah.
And I met an opera singer in one of the karaoke bars named Hubert, and I signed him up to sing Meatloaf, and he fucking killed it. It was unbelievable.
That's so good. Hubert.
Yeah.
Wherever you are out there, man. Good for you.
If you see this, Hubert, I remember you. Never forget.
You really touched some Irish hearts that day.
Just hurts. Cool. So that's everything that I wanted to ask you about music. But when is your EP out, or your new EP out, or is there a date on it, or is it let's leave it a little while, or what's the crack?
Well, I would like to release it soon. There's been delays, life stuff,
For sure.
boring life. And so, but I'm really proud of these songs, and I think they're really good, and I want to get them into people's ear holes. So I do want it out soon. Probably in the next couple of months. If you were to follow my Bandcamp or SoundCloud or Spotify, you would, if you were to click some sort of plus sign that is next to my name, maybe you would get a notification. Someone will send you an email.
Yeah, you might do.
If you were so inclined.
Are you epic _ bail everywhere, or?
Yes, I deleted Twitter because I was mad, and
Fair.
so I'm not there anymore. But I am on Instagram at epic _ bail, and I am on SoundCloud as Diana Bailey Music, and on Bandcamp as Diana Bailey. Was that subtle?
That was perfect. That was exactly what I was looking for. That was exactly it. Diana Bailey, it's been lovely having you on the show and to have a chat with you.
Thank you so much.
I can't believe
you for listening to all the new stuff, and for telling me to crank me up.
Yes, crank yourself
Very
up.
actionable advice that I can do. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to do it. But yes, it's been lovely chatting to you, and I hope that we do so again in the future. And let me know when you want to release the EP, and I'll see maybe if we can sync up like the episodes and stuff like that to kind of push that out a little bit.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
This was super fun. Thank you.